So hello. Welcome back to my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe and also support my small business at latricelimited.com. So today we're actually just going to talk about this presidential address that President Putin made. All right. And some little key points. I actually have an article here that summarizes it, and I also have some tweets that I am going to show a little bit later. All right. Putin's speech on annexation. What exactly did he say? Defending our land. We will defend our land with all the powers and means at our disposal. In 1991, at Belleville Forest, without asking, with the will of the common citizens, representatives of the then party elites decided to destroy the USSR, and people suddenly found themselves cut off from their motherland, torn apart and dismembered our nation. Okay, so he talks about how many people have been wanting to destroy Russia, okay? Before Soviet Union, USSR, we want to dismantle this. Now they're here. We want to continue to dismantle. And when he is saying they, he's referring to the West, okay? And he later talks about the involvement of the West, okay? So there's actually a part here talking about the Nord Stream gas leak. Okay, there's different little sections, but these are the highlighted big points in his speech that he gave. So sanctions were not enough for the Anglo-Saxons. They moved on to sabotage. It is hard to believe, but it is a fact that they organized the blast on the Nord Stream international gas pipelines, which run along the bottom of the Baltic Sea. It is clear to everyone who benefits from this, and this goes into pretty much the video that I made talking about the West, the US, and what has happened, okay? In terms of what does this mean, who could have done it, Germany was freaking out about it, who could have done this, how, why, and all that. And then we get into Western imperialism. Okay, it says the West began its colonial policy back in the Middle Ages and then followed the slave trade and the genocide of indigenous tribes in America, the plunder of India, of Africa, wars of England and France against China. What they did was hooking entire nations on drugs, deliberately exterminating entire ethnic groups. For the sake of land and resources, they hunted people like animals. This is contrary to the very nature of man, truth, freedom, and justice. Now, listening to this, you may say, oh my goodness, but you're telling me that you guys in the Far East and all of you guys are much better than the West. Is this the East versus West thing? No, this is not what he's saying. He's just saying Westerns, okay? You guys are saying pretty much you are the judge, jury, and the executioner. Okay. You guys are making up these rules, saying what you can do. And we're looking at what you've done. You've committed genocide. You stole people. You invested, did the slave trade. You're putting all these drugs into your own communities. You're putting all these guns into your own communities. You're killing your own people. And then you're looking around like, well, I don't know how it happened. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we weren't that bad. And they're looking like, how are you? It's one of those things where you point a finger and you got a couple pointing back at you. You know what I mean? How can you say, oh, well, this is bad. You guys are bad. Yet you turn around and we look at you and it's like, well, you're hunting, like he said, you're essentially hunting people like animals here. You guys are poisoning your own communities. I mean, just look at what happened with Flint. You had these rusty pipes and you knew they were bad, but because they were in a black area, it was just like, well, that ain't our problem, and then it's, committing genocide. You're constantly killing people, not even just here. You guys are killing people in these other countries, in these Eastern countries. And it's like, well, they ain't our people. And then now you're sabotaging, the pipeline. So now people that look like you may not speak the same tongue, but they look like you, and now you mess with them too. And it's one of those things where it's like, well, how can you say this, yet you're doing this, but then you stand for this? Doesn't make any sense. Here's another point, talking about nuclear president. It said the United States is the only country in the world that has twice used nuclear weapons, destroying the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, settling a president. Even today, they actually occupy Germany, Japan, and the Republic of Korea and other countries, and at the same time, cynically calling them allies of equal standing. Actually mentions in there like, okay, y'all got y'all stuff. Well, we got stuff that y'all probably ain't even seen. You know what I mean? Pretty much like, you mess with us, we got something for you. Okay. So, I mean, that's just what it is. We ain't got as much money invested in there as y'all do, but we got something for you, and that is, that's protecting your country and also a threat on both sides. You know what I mean? Putin said they devised these plans long ago. They encouraged groups of international terrorists in the Caucasus and moved NATO's offensive infrastructure close to our borders. That is a huge thing. That is one of the biggest reasons why we have this whole thing happening anyways. All right. They use indiscriminate Russia-phobia as a weapon. Think about it. Including by nurturing the hatred of Russia for decades, primarily in Ukraine, which was designed to become an anti-Russian bridgehead. They turned the Ukrainian people into cannon fodder and pushed them into a war with Russia, which they unleashed back in 2014. 2014 is huge, y'all. And that's also another thing. It's this whole Russiagate thing. It's this whole Russia-phobia that, I mean, he's accurate in what he's saying, because think about it. Anytime, just look at any movie that we have. Anytime you see a Russian person, they're always a bad dude. Okay. Always bad. You look in the mainstream media. What do we see? Even before this, you have people who were just like, Russia. Why would you want to visit that place? Yeesh. Oh, why would you want to learn Russian? Them people, they are terrible. Okay. Well, what about our people? What about our people who are running our country? Well, they're good, even though they, they kill people for fun, and they, want to commit genocide, and they have done it. But I mean, they're cool, yo. But he's bad. I'm not saying one is, better than the other. I mean, but let's call it what it is. I really do agree with that, because we see it play out day by day by day. So I have a tweet. And it says, I wish every single person in the West would listen to Putin's speech. Obviously, that won't happen. So let me summarize as a professional translator for 10 plus years. He states, as he has done from the outset, what his intentions and complaints are in the plainest terms possible. Setting aside his brief comments on the recent referendums, he spends most of his speech discussing the West. His primary complaint isn't NATO expansion, which gets only a cursory mention. The West is greedy and seeks to enslave and colonize other nations like Russia. This is where I disagree just a little bit, because that is the main thing. Okay, you signed the Minsk agreement, you did all this other stuff. You said, okay, we're not gonna, have them join NATO. We're not gonna expand our troops over there, because that'll be equivalent to Russia being in Canada, being right there, which everyone would freak out. Everyone would be, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. The closest they got to us, people were like, oh no, and it wasn't even that close. You know what I mean? So that would be equivalent to that. But it's okay. It's not okay for them to do it to us, but it's okay for us to do it to them. And that is through Ukraine. And that is one of the biggest problems with this. So I kind of disagree with that, because that is a huge thing. I mean, that is really one of the biggest things. But I understand their reasoning for it by saying, yes, the West is greedy. They want. They're going to take from you, no matter how much they already have, how little you have. They're going to take as much as they can from you. Another thing was, the rules-based order that the West goes on about is nonsense. Who made up these rules? And that's the thing. Who agrees to them? Russia is an ancient country, a civilization, and we will not comply by these rigged rules. The West has no moral authority to challenge the referendums, because it has violated. And that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Judge, jury, and executioner. Who are you? Who are you to set these rules? Why are you setting these rules? Why is no one else setting these rules? Why are you the main person that gets to say who lives, who dies, who gets to do this, who gets to do that? Oh, well, because I'm America. Well, that's not a reason. You know what I mean? Because America's not that old, okay? I mean, compared to a lot of these other places, you got a lot more places that have a richer history, and they just been there much longer. So again, who are you to say like, oh, well, you can't do this. I could do this. You can't do that. So after looking at this, yes, I agree. Every American needs to look at this. Every American, whether you're American, whether you're Canadian, whether you're, European, whatever, everyone needs to look at this stuff. Watch the video or read it. They're both available, whatever the case may be, because this has a lot of good key points in here. I just summarized, just a blanket summary of it. I'm going to do a video later where I do go into it a lot deeper. It's going to be a much longer video. But yeah, it just goes into different kinds of topics, defending your land. He's talking about Kyiv, the Nord Stream pipeline. He even gets into gender, nuclear weapons. It's just a lot of other things that are brought upon, and then, kind of doing like a criticism of it, and also an explanation as to why we see what we see to this day, why we're looking at what we're looking at right now. And like I said, I agree. Everyone should really look at this. Just put everything to the side. Just have a clear mind when you think about this, when you look at this, whether you're listening to it or you're reading it. Just have a clear mind. Put everything to the side, whatever kind of other bias that you may have. If you're a Russophobia or a Russophobic, if you hate everyone that's not on the West, just put all that stuff to the side. Put it all to the side and just read it. Look at the events. Maybe some other things that you don't understand. That's the beauty of the internet. You look it up. Okay, I don't really understand what he's talking about right here. Well, what does that really mean? You know what? Let me go look this little part. Let me stop it here. Let me go look at this little part and see what's going on. And that aids in critical thinking, obviously critical learning, and it will allow you to be more, versed in what you're looking at. It will allow you to really understand the different sides. I'm not picking, oh, America's bad, Putin's good, Russia's good, Putin, America's bad. Oh my God, I'm not doing any of that. But all I'm doing right now is just looking, just straight up looking, seeing like, okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. Do I remember any kind of, Russia gating going on in the mainstream media? All the time. That is pretty accurate. What about this little part here? What about this? Ooh, I may not agree with it. So you may not agree with everything in here. I'm not expecting you to. But it is something that, hey, even if you're like, okay, well, I know everything I need to know. Just look at it. Never hurts to go and look. Just go and look at it, read it, and be like, that's interesting. That's a different point of view as to what you're getting right now. But those are my thoughts and opinions for today. And until then.